crew. Good morning, USA.
Good morning, sports fans. Cam, welcome back to Syracuse.
It's great to be back.
I know.
Great to be back. So we're going to keep doing our questions from last year. What was your favorite sports moment of the summer?
Well, my favorite sports moment, I'm from Boston. There's been one perfect moment for me this entire summer. The Boston Celtics raising banner 18 in the TD Garden. I mean, just a storied franchise, just a storied season for this team. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Derek White, Kristaps. I mean, the whole gang. They got what they deserve, and they're coming for that repeat this upcoming season. And Cam, what was your favorite moment?
I'm going to have to disagree with that.
Oh.
So mine, again, I've been a Knicks fan all my life. It's been a hard road, but you know what? I'm going to have to say it scares me because I've seen what happened to our neighbors, the Brooklyn Nets, putting in a lot of picks, but finally just going all in maybe. Like 5 picks from Mikal Bridges, it irked me, but I'm glad we're finally going all in, really trying to actually win this year. And the Knicks are going to beat the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals. And that's my pick.
We'll see come April, come May.
Yeah.
But anyways, we got a great show for you today at Good Morning Sports Fans. We got some college football, we got some boxing, we got baseball, we got an Olympics recap, and I think we're going to wrap it up with some NFL.
Yeah.
So without further ado, we're going to throw it to our first segment of the day, which is Eric and Sophia on college football.
All right, thank you, Thomas and Cam. I'm Eric.
I'm Sophia.
And we're going to be talking about the 12-team college football playoff. New to college football this year. Should be exciting. Why don't you tell us all about it?
So the new structure includes the 5 highest-ranked conference champs, which receive automatic bids, and the 7 highest-ranking teams fill in the rest. The top 4 teams receive a bye into the quarterfinals. So Eric, what would the playoffs look like if the season ended today?
So if the season ended today, we'd have Georgia with the 1 seed. We'd have Miami at the 3, Ohio State at the 2, Utah at the 4. That's their 4 projected conference winners, with NIU being the highest-ranked non-power 4. So they'd get the 12 seed. You'd have Missouri playing Tennessee at the 8-9 game. You'd have Penn State Ole Miss at the 7-10 game. Texas would be playing NIU at the 5-12 game. And you have Alabama and Oregon playing each other in the 6-11 game. So with that being said, what's your playoff prediction this year?
So in the SEC, I have Georgia taking the win. In the Big Ten, I have Ohio State. In the Big 12, I have Utah. And in the ACC, I have Miami. For spots 5 to 11, I have Texas, Tennessee, Ole Miss, Oregon, Penn State, Alabama, and USC. In spot 12, I have UNLV. They've had a dominant wins over both Utah Tech and Houston, and they have a strong offense. If they can beat Kansas Friday night on the road, it's a good win against a Power 4 ranking against a previously ranked team.
All right, do you see any of those maybe conference winners from the Power 4 getting maybe knocked off? You see maybe a different winner in the SEC, ACC, one of those conferences?
Yes, I could potentially see either Syracuse or BC in the ACC. And in the Big 12, we could see Iowa State. After picking off a ranked Iowa and then destroying North Dakota, they have many upcoming games against non-ranked teams that could help boost their record.
Yeah, I think that's something that's worth noting this year. It's going to be kind of a record battle. If you have a lot of easy wins this year, you could really vault yourself into that at-large bid or even win your conference. So I think for my playoff predictions this year, I'm looking at the SEC being Georgia, but I could see Ole Miss or Texas sneaking in and taking it from them. Ohio State would be my Big Ten winner, but Oregon or USC are kind of front runners in that dark horse race for the Big Ten. Big 12, it's looking like Utah, but they've had some injury problems. Cam Rising could get injured yet again, and that would open up Arizona or Kansas State to take the conference. And then for the ACC, I'm looking at Miami, but Syracuse, Boston College, NC State, really anyone from the ACC, it's wide open. Anyone could win. My non-power 4 bid, I like Boise State. They played Oregon tough, and I just think they're a really good team that's going to come out of the Mountain West, which is probably the best non-Power 5 conference. But you also have Memphis, UNLV, Liberty, all strong teams, all easier schedules, could be undefeated and conference champions. And then finally, 6 through 11, Missouri, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Oregon, USC, and Texas. That is 4 SEC teams. I think there's going to be some SEC bias in this playoff, and that's just how I see it playing out. But you've got teams like Rutgers. They've got a pretty easy schedule. Michigan, name bias. Penn State, Wisconsin, Rutgers all have pretty favorable schedules as well, so they could be making that run into one of those at-large spots. That's all for us. I'm going to toss it over to Jake, Joel, and Ryan. They're going to be talking FSU and how they kind of fell apart this season.
Thanks, guys. I'm Jake Bowen, and I'm now joined with my 2 college football analysts, Ryan Croak and Joe Palatrick. Let's flip over to the ACC. Florida State down in an 0-2 hole. The number 6 ranked team at the end of last season and the 6th ranked team to begin this season have now fallen out of the top 25. Ryan, who do you think is to blame for the start?
Mike Norvell, the head coach. This is a team that has no lack of talent. They're a top 10 team coming into the season, and they're not playing like it right now. They have all the personnel in the world, and the head coach is really failing at his job right now. I get last season's end was disappointing, not how they wanted to finish off the year, but this is a team that came into the season with high expectations, high hopes to rectify the way that their last season went, and they got blitzed by Boston College on their home turf. They lost overseas to Georgia Tech to start the season. 0-2 is not where they wanted to be right now. Their offense has obviously had some issues, but the defense, I think, has been the biggest problem. They've allowed 705 yards of offense through 2 games. 453 of those have been on the ground. They're allowing 26 points per game. That's almost a full touchdown more than what they were allowing last season. The biggest problem for me, 3 sacks through 2 games. You averaged over 3 sacks a game in 2023. You're having less than half that so far this season. And then 0 takeaways through those 2 games, Jake. That's absolutely pathetic output by that defensive unit. Mike Norvell, I like him as a coach, but he is still hung up on last season. Either that or his players are. Either way, it's his fault. He's got to get his guys locked in on the present and get them focused on this season if they're going to try to salvage it after a pathetic start.
Let's move over now to the offensive side. Joel, they haven't looked as dynamic as last season. What have you been seeing?
Yeah, Jake, I mean, it's been very tough so far for the Seminoles. I think there's a silver lining with the offensive line. They've done enough in pass protection and in the run game, but overall, 17 points per game, 292 yards. That's under half the amount of points as last season and over 100 less yards. DJ Uiagalelei, he's transferred from Oregon State, coming off statistically his best year. I think a lot of people, including myself, thought he was going to have his breakout season this year. And to be frank, he's been lackluster. 58% completion, 465 passing yards, 1 touchdown, and an INT. But like Ryan said, I think the main problem is coaching. The offense has looked great in times of desperation, but outside of the 2-minute style, they played too conservatively. The short passing game has been effective, but predictable. And I think going forward, Norvell is going to have to make opportunities for DJ to drive the ball down the field.
Well, it'll be interesting to see if the Seminoles get back on track. They host 2-0 Memphis this Saturday, noon Eastern, on ESPN. From Ryan Croak, Joe Patrick, I'm Jake Bowen, and now let's go to the ring with Mikey and Cedric.
September 14th at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, we have a big fight card. Mikey, it's Canelo Alvarez versus Edgar Berlanga, another young, hungry opponent for Canelo Alvarez, as was his last fight against Jaime Munguia. The glaring difference, though, no David Benavidez Jr. How do you feel about them not making the fight?
Well, definitely, it is a hungry Edgar Berlanga. He even came out and said he's going to retire Canelo. But yeah, we all do want to see him get that match against David Benavidez because personally, I feel like Canelo, he has nothing left to prove in 168. We know what he can do there. He's called the super middleweight king for a reason. So a lot of people say he's ducking Benavidez, which I think he is. But Canelo also has earned that right to choose who he fights. He's shown us on multiple occasions that he's willing to get in the ring with just about whoever and put on a great fight. And, you know, he's a top 5 pound-for-pound fighter for many people. And he's earned that right to say, if I don't want to fight Benavidez, he doesn't have to. But he's still ducking nonetheless.
Ducking, that's right. I mean, if you look at his last 5, the opponents here, Jaime Munguia, Jermell Charlo, John Ryder, Gennady Golovkin, and a loss to Dimitri Bivol. Canelo, as you said, he's never been known for ducking anybody, so why now?
Probably because, you know, he's really, I can't even say it's the money because that's probably one of the biggest paydays he'll get. But I think the older he gets, he just wants to keep that legacy intact because there's only been 2 people to defeat Canelo, Floyd Mayweather and, like you said, Dimitri Bivol. So
let me stop you there. That's debatable because Arizlandi Lara is in the co-feature, and a lot of people felt Lara won that fight against Canelo Alvarez.
I'm going by the facts, though, the record. The L column only has 2. So there's only been 2 to this day to defeat Canelo.
Let it be for the record, though, I think Lara won that fight. He's fighting Danny Garcia in the co-feature. Danny Garcia, a champion at 140, a champion at 147. This is the highest weight he's fought in his career. How do you see Danny Garcia faring up at 160 middleweight?
I see him faring well. He has a lot of confidence, but I think Arizlandi might just be a little too much for him. He's fought at 168, and his last 3 fights at 168, there were knockouts. 160. So there were knockouts. So I think he will put up a fight, but I think Lara will hold on to those titles for sure.
Real quick, how do you see this fight going? Who do you got?
Canelo, and I got him doing it pretty quick. It should be a knockout, but we've seen him go the distance with Munguia, even with Charlo. So I'm still pretty confident in Canelo getting this win.
I got Canelo in the 8th round by stoppage.
Stay tuned. We have Ethan and Jack with MLB coming up next.
Thanks, guys. My name's Jack Lesser. This is Ethan Koppelman. Ethan, could you run us through the MLB wildcard standings, the race, what we're looking at here?
Yeah, absolutely. We'll start with the NL. The NL is a little bit more interesting right now. The big storyline in the NL is that the New York Mets and the Atlanta Braves, they've been in a dogfight for about the past 2 weeks. Currently, as it stands right now, the Mets have the spot. They're a game over the Braves. Something else to note for sure, though, is that the entirety of the race has tightened up. Just looking right here, the Padres are a game and a half up on the Mets right now. Diamondbacks only a game. If you go to the outer parts of the race, you have the Cardinals 6.5 games back and the Cubs just 5. Obviously not a good chance either of those teams get in, but with the top of the race tightening up, if they go on a really hot streak, anything's possible.
Yeah, I think both those teams, the Mets and the Braves, have the talent to make a playoff push and to both be in the playoffs. Unfortunately, later in the season, I don't think it's going to be possible. Second to last series of the season, they go head-to-head, that being the Mets and the Braves. I like the Mets more. I think they're a hot team. They've been one of the best teams in baseball since May 1st. They've won, I think, 9 of their last 10. I like teams that are on a roll when it comes to the postseason. I think the Braves have been banged up for a while. They've really been banged up all season. I think the Mets will be a tough team come the postseason.
Yeah, I mean, Jack, I think it's obviously unlikely that both teams make it, but with the race so close, I mean, I do think it's possible. Literally all it takes is one team has a cold streak, either the Padres or Diamondbacks. I think both of them could be in there. But I mean, with the Braves, if you are an NL division leader right now, if you are the Brewers, if you are the Phillies, or you are the Dodgers, these last 2 weeks of the season are so important. They need to go on a hot streak because you do not want to play either the Mets or the Braves. Both of those teams are so good. And the Atlanta Braves, you got Chris Sale, the Cy Young winner in all likelihood. You have Ronaldo Lopez, who leads the league in ERA, and Max Fried, who has established himself as a great starter in Major League Baseball. So either of those two teams look really scary as you go into the postseason.
Yeah, Max Fried always been a formidable pitcher come the postseason. Could you run us through the AL?
Yeah, real quickly, just to go through the AL, right now, it is the Minnesota Twins. They're in last place. This is the big storyline there. They have 3 teams, both 3 games back. They got the Red Sox, they got the Mariners, and they also got the Detroit Tigers right there, all 3 games back. So the Twins have been 3-7 over their last 10. They have not been putting together a good run, so they're going to have to finish strong for one of those teams to not leap over them.
Yeah, I love the Royals. Bobby Witt Jr., one of the best guys in baseball right now. I think he'll lose the MVP to Aaron Judge, but we'll have to see. And, of course, the Twins and the Red Sox play a late series in the season, so that should be interesting for the standings. That'll be it for us. My name's Jack. This is Ethan Koppelman. We'll send it to Thomas and Sydney to talk Olympics.
Thanks, guys. It's Sydney Chan with Thomas Hollowbacks, ready to talk Olympics and Paralympics. Now, this year it happened in Paris, the city of love and lights, and honestly, I could not have expected or wanted a better experience. Thomas, what were some of your favorite moments during the Olympics?
I mean, the Olympics is always one of my favorite things to watch in sports, just because it's a bunch of people coming together to, spread the community of sports. And Paris was no less about that. I've always been a big fan of swimming. My brother swims in college, so we've always been a swimming family. So watching the swimming events has really been always my favorite moments, and this year especially was phenomenal. I mean, Katie Ledecky, she just once again blew the competition out of the water. She's the most decorated female U.S. Olympian in history now.
14 medals now.
We beat the U.S.'s swimming rivals Australia in the medal count again. We beat them in gold as well.
Right.
So it's always nice to beat a nice rival.
Yeah.
What was a little shocking to me was the U.S. men's side of swimming. They underperformed, and I think everyone knows that. But going into LA 2028, I think they're going to have a lot of momentum and a lot of fire lit under them to, really perform on their home soil.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I also really enjoyed watching the gymnastics. Simone Biles had her long way to return to the Olympic stage, and she dominated as she normally does.
Yeah.
But speaking of Olympics, I hear that you have a little bit of a scoop to tell about Olympics.
I was so excited to actually be in Paris during that first week of the Olympics. Such a surreal moment, witnessing Simone have the stage all to herself, being the last athlete to perform in the women's team all-around. And actually in the men's team all-around, I had the amazing opportunity to speak firsthand with an Italian gymnast, Lorenzo Mincasali, who was so generous with his time. The Italy team really were able to make a good standout and a good performance this year because they actually didn't end up qualifying those last 2 Olympics, and then they placed 6th in this Olympics. So I'm super excited to see
That's a lot of
what
fun.
they're going to do in the future. And another great highlight of the Olympics for me was just seeing Rafa Nadal and Carlos Alcaraz play as doubles partners at Roland Garros. Really, truly a dream come true. It was like witnessing the past, the present, and the future all in one Olympic frame. So really the awesome moment.
It's a lot of fun. Just before we wrap on this segment, you're also a really big fan of the Paralympics.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I don't pay much attention to it. In the future, I definitely want to, but just give me a little quick recap of the Paralympics and what it's all about.
Yeah, I mean, Tara Davis-Woodall and Hunter Woodall, Team USA's golden couple of track and field. They both won golds, first in the women's long jump during the Olympics, and then in the men's 400-meter T62 category. Incredible. Another big fan of 19-year-old American track and field sensation Ezra Freck. He was born with congenital limb differences, which ended up affecting his left leg and hand, but he's been speaking out about raising awareness for people with physical impairments for a long time, and even has his own organization called Angel City Sports, which provides free access and free opportunities to sports training equipment and different competitive opportunities for those with physical disabilities. And last one, everybody, that final match between France and Argentina for blind soccer was actually insane. That gold medal was ultimately decided through penalty kicks, with the hometown favorite winning it in a stunning fashion and actually becoming the first country other than Brazil to win since blind soccer debuted during the 2004 Athens Paralympic Games. So that was actually crazy.
A lot of action in the Paralympics as well as the Olympics. I think everyone should really benefit by watching both of those competitions. Now we're going to throw it to the NFL, where Stacy, Teddy, and Josh are going to recap Aaron Rodgers' awaited return.
Thanks, Thomas. My name is Stacy. I'm joined by Teddy and Josh. We're going to talk about Aaron Rodgers. Finally made his debut, real debut, with the New York Jets in the loss against the San Francisco 49ers. He went 13 for 21, over 170 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. You know, there was some ebbs and flows, ups and downs in the game, but overall, he made his debut as a Jet. So, Teddy, start us off. What you think of Aaron Rodgers in that first game?
Yeah, well, we all know that Aaron Rodgers is coming off of that Achilles injury. So for the first game back after a whole year of sitting out, it's a performance that we kind of expected. I mean, it would be great to have seen him really light it up, but again, coming off that injury, he really did have that connection early on with Garrett Wilson, but it kind of fell off towards the end of the game. Didn't really get it back until like the third quarter. And then Allen Lazard, I guess you can consider him the number 2 right now, but again, with the exception of that free play touchdown, that connection I think needs to be more solid. You have Mike Williams too, which could be an asset, but overall, I guess really the play needs to step up as it goes forward for Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I'm not relying on Mike Williams. He always get hurt. I'm not doing that. Josh, what you think of Aaron Rodgers' performance week 1?
Yeah, you know, there was so much curiosity of how he was going to play, obviously, just because of the delay, because of the injury, and, you know, understandably so. You know, he's a 40-year-old quarterback coming back from a year-long hiatus because of the Achilles injury. So, you know, in my opinion, I think he played well. You know, I think there were hot moments. There were obviously some cold moments. I think it started off hot. You know, he threw 3 consecutive third-down conversions, right, to Garrett Wilson, which set up a Breece Hall touchdown, which was great to give them the lead in the first quarter. Yeah. Then it got a bit cold. We saw kind of a disappearance of Garrett Wilson. Then it got kind of hot again. You know, we saw in the third quarter, we saw the touchdown pass to Allen Lazard, which, by the way, was a free play, which, as we know, Aaron Rodgers is the master of free plays. Yes. He has 18 free play touchdowns in his career, leads the league, leads all quarterbacks in that, which is just absolutely incredible. And it's a testament to how good he really is. So I'm here to say, you know, I'm not a Jets fan, but if you're a Jets fan, if you're just a fan of the NFL, I wouldn't be worried quite yet. You know, I think people are kind of maybe freaking out, maybe saying, you know, he's not the guy yet, you know, blah, blah, blah. We know who Aaron Rodgers is. We know he's really that guy. You know, we got to let the bad man cook. He's a bad man. So, you know, I think he's going to be a top quarterback in no time in the league, and I'm excited to see where they go from here.
Yeah, like you said, he just got back. I mean, he is 40 years old. He hasn't played since January 2023, and he always struggles against the 49ers. He can't beat them for some reason. So, so we got that. So, real quick, as we wrap up, What you think the Jets' record is going to be overall? They 0-1. What you think they're going to finish?
Ooh, I mean, it's very likely they could win 10 games. I would say the next 4 games are very winnable. Then you have Buffalo on Monday night. So if they can go 4-1, they may lose that game to Buffalo. But I think going forward, they really got a tough stretch with the Steelers, Patriots, and Texans after that. Again, they need a true number 2 wide receiver. That run game needs to get going, and that defense without Hassan Reddick, that they really need to step up until he comes back. So we'll see, but I mean, it's pretty good road for them, I would say, going forward.
I got them at 10 solid. What you got them at, Josh? What
Same thing, 10 solid.
There
you know,
we go.
I think Aaron Rodgers is going to tear it up. I know the kind of quarterback he is. He's just got to find that rhythm with this new system, and when he does, it's going to be a solid 10, just like you said.
Oh, yeah. So, I'm Stacy. It's Teddy. Josh. That was Aaron Rodgers week 1. Now let's pass it to Leo, Cam, and Ellie for their ranking of NFL teams.
Thanks, guys. So week 1 of the NFL just wrapped up, and we don't know too much yet, but we're going to give our early top 3s. Ellie, what do you think so far?
So yeah, Cam, I think this was a sloppy week 1 for a lot of these teams, but my number 1, actually let's start with number 3, a little bit of a sleeper team. I have the Texans, a little bit biased as I am a big Houston fan, but I don't think their offense and defense played very well, and they still won the game 29-27, almost 400 yards on offense and 159 yards on the ground by Joe Mixon. So once the new additions in Diggs and Mixon get going, they're going to be one of the best teams in the NFL and rival my number 1 team, which we'll get to in just a second. Number 2, the 49ers. Beat the Jets, which is a stout defense without CMC, one of the best players in the NFL. And Ayuk and Trent Williams missed training camp, so they're going to be rusty. So I think once the season gets going, the 49ers will be easily best team in the NFC. And lastly, the Chiefs, Thursday Night Football, defeated the Ravens. This is the most complete Chiefs team I've seen. They have all the pieces on offense and defense, and when you have Mahomes, you're always in contention to win the Super Bowl. So Chiefs number 1 for me.
Gotcha. So I'll go with my top 3. So I don't really have a ranking, but I'm gonna just go with my 3 teams. So as you said before, the Chiefs, I think they look very good. It's scary to see that the Bills gave him Xavier Worthy. It's a frightening sight to see Mahomes with another receiver that fast. We thought we got rid of a fast receiver when they got rid of Tyreek Hill, but it's not looking good for the NFL. Yeah. Another team, the Niners. Last night they beat the Jets pretty handily without Christian McCaffrey. And it just shows how good their offense is and how well the system's made. It's because their backup running back, ran for over 100 yards. And he looked very good. It's going to be even harder when CMC comes back and he's making those plays. And last team, I got to rep my team, the Eagles. Again, there were some problems with it. Jalen Hurts, he struggled a little bit. Probably could have thrown like 3 or 4 interceptions that game. But the defense looked solid against the Packers. They held their own in the red zone. And also, the weapons did their job. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, even like Dallas Goedert, and of course, the new addition, Saquon Barkley. The team looks very complete, and if Jalen Hurts can pull it together, it's going to really, as I said before, complete the team.
Following you guys, not really that much to tell after week 1, but number 1, Chiefs, great game. Xavier Worthy, 2 touchdowns. Rashid Rice had a very decent game too. Defense also looked good, even though they had some holes, but I think the Chiefs definitely have the energy to run it back. My second team, I'm going to go 49ers as well. Jordan Mason was the biggest shock out of week 1. I think he had like 120-something yards and a touchdown, but very good game on the ground for him. Purdy looked good. He was firing out of all cylinders. He was definitely looking at the holes for the Jets defense. And number 3, I am going to go Philly. I agree with you, Cam. Saquon Barkley, great game, 3 touchdowns. Jalen Hurts, he's got to clean up. He's got some stuff to clean up, but overall, I think those are simple top 3 teams from week 1. You can't really tell that much, and yeah.
Yeah, I like your trust in the Eagles. Thank you guys for tuning in. We're going to take you to the outro.
Thank you guys for tuning in to another great episode of Good Morning Sports Fans. Cam, first episode back at Syracuse. We're going to try something different with the outro this year. So with our remaining 45 seconds, I'm going to ask you to name as many Heisman winners as you can.
Okay, so I'm going to go with the future, Kyle McCord, Jaden Daniels, Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield, RG3, Mark Ingram, Jameis Winston, Marcus Mariota, pretty sure he won it, Lamar Jackson,
how about Syracuse's own?
Oh yeah, Ernie Davis.
Ernie Davis.
Charlie Ward. Yeah. I told you I can only go for like 10 seconds.
All right, well, let's do it for 10 seconds. I'll ad-lib it. Sweet. That's the first episode of Good Morning Sports Fans. We'll see you guys next time.